most of these like in the mid management in the search and evaluation will be replaced with platforms like us, and we working on that. That will be us and not anyone else.
Welcome to the Bioneex Podcast, a conversation with drug development companies and what they are doing. I'm Marie Daglian, Chief Editor at Bioneex and the host. Today, I'm speaking with Dr. Smbat Rafayelyan, founder and CEO of Bioneex, which recently launched a new AI-powered platform designed to support both sides of biopharma deal-making. Drug development companies seeking visibility for their assets and potential partners, investors looking for promising opportunities. Smbat, welcome. I'm curious about your new platform, but first, tell me a little bit about your background and why you decided to found Bioneex.
Thank you, Mari. Thank you for hosting me today on your podcast. So, actually, my background is a little bit untraditional for the industry. I am an MD and did my PhD, but then I was very excited about drug development during my PhD, working with drug in rheumatoid arthritis, and then while I was doing these trials, came across with one of the big companies, Pfizer, and then was thinking, what would be if I would try to explore more the companies outside of the university research. So when I graduated from my PhD, I got the chance to start with Sanofi in oncology, which I found later on for me personally more interesting than rheumatology. As we know, oncology is now in the industry is the hottest therapeutic area. So then worked a while in oncology, in colorectal carcinoma space after the recept, the drug calls, and then was drug launch in DACH regions, German-speaking countries. So that time, pretty much, I discovered for me this is exactly what I want to do in my career, and then moved to another company, to Pfizer, worked there, and also worked afterwards in IQVIA, and then also worked a short period of time before starting Bioneex at private equity, merger and acquisitions in pharma space. Pretty much, I started with science and moved to business side of the industry.
Okay, so why did you decide to now start your own company? What was lacking in the industry that you saw you could help to solve? What problem?
Yeah, so actually, when I was in Sanofi at that time, I spent some time in their R&D space, R&D department, and during that time, I saw some of their scientists like show me a list of so-called programs, and then when I asked what are these, they said these are these drugs in development, and some of them were marked red. And then I asked, what does it mean? I had no idea at the time. They explained me these are pretty much so-called discontinued assets that the company decided not to move forward. And then I said, what's happening with them? They said, yeah, they end up in Schubladen in German, which means shelved. So these are so the name shelved asset. And then I asked, what you guys do with this? They said, yeah, maybe some scientific publications or maybe not. And then I said, how then you like monetize? Is there any way you can monetize this asset just into so much investment there? They said, not really. Company's not doing anything most of the cases. And then after many years having this thought in my head, what we can do with these so-called shelved assets. Yeah, so I was working in the private equity, and then saw a new company came out with a very exciting business model. A young, talented guy whose name is Vivek. As you know, Vivek Ramaswamy later on ran for a president in the United States. He started company, and his concept was exactly that: taking this shelved, discontinued assets from pharmas, and then uh, doing a new clinical trials or positioning another indication, and pretty much monetizing. And then I thought, this might be interesting if we can create a platform where this type of assets will be placed like in a way of eBay from those companies they don't need, and then other companies can take it and move it forward in the development. But then I came across one of the articles, I think it was on Forbes, from former head of the R&D of Pfizer, John LaMattina. So I reached out to him, I introduced myself, and I said I'm an ex-Pfizer colleague, and he was very nice to talk to me, and I got the chance to interview him, doing comprehensive interview. And then he explained me that actually the industry is not driven per se by discontinued assets. It's actually driven by the biotechs. So that's when the idea started to crystallize after talking several people in the industry and understanding what is really the drive of the innovation. So then we decided to create this platform where on one side, drug development companies, typically biotechs, submit their asset information, and on the other side, larger companies can come and search and evaluate and directly contact to these biotechs.
So, when did you, how old is Bioneex? When did you start? When did you launch the company? Like through,
Yeah, so actually, I started to explore the idea quite long ago. It's almost 9 years already.
okay.
But per se, we started the business on COVID time, which was really good timing for us as partnering
Yeah.
conferences got shut down. So we launched that time our first so-called MVP product, minimum viable product, 2021 February. But we worked before that almost 9 months to bring this product to the market. So that's pretty much when was the platform launched.
Right. It's also interesting because that's kind of when AI as a tool started to become much more interesting for companies to look at and think about using to accelerate, to make their discovery, deal making, everything, more efficient if possible. So, it was at a good time for the industry, I think. So then, but you have a new platform now. Can you tell me a little bit about that? And I think it's predicated on your partnership with GATC Health. So how did that come about, the partnership and then the new platform and what the new platform does?
So thank you, Mari. Absolutely, we launched last year like a new platform, and then last year it was I think in October, and then just a month ago we launched the second generation of the platform, and this is a new platform based on AI. And as we know, AI is advancing every day. It's something new coming up. And the
Right.
idea is the following: before, when the biotech were coming on our platform, they had to create like their asset profile, doing a manual entry of their data, and then we would be reviewing and make sure everything captured correctly. And now there is no need to do anything manually. Simply a biotech company just need to sign up on the platform, submit their non-confidential deck, and maybe write a few words, whatever they want to add to that deck, and then AI will take care of everything. AI will understand what is the information there, and then will it structure, and then will also do validation of the data, and it will create a certain data available for the search from the other side. So that's one of the big like advantage of AI, helping within just probably 30 seconds to submit your information and will capture everything. And then on the other side, when the companies are searching, companies or investors searching for assets, the AI helps not only like to review the assets that are on the platform, but we have also integrated curated data over 15,000 companies that also finds alternative assets, for example, to those that are on the platform. So it can also evaluate the asset, compare with existing drugs, or compare with other like targets or modalities. So it is the new platform is really takes a quite chunk of work. People would do this search and evaluation in the companies. As you know, there is such a department. When we talk with clients, they say like they spend 2 3 weeks to do really that work, whereas our platform just does it within 10 minutes, and then create a report, and then they can review the report, including all the necessary links and additional information. So the new platform is pretty much powered by very sophisticated and comprehensive AI infrastructure. There are multiple LLMs running in the background, and we also train these LLMs with the industry data, making sure they are so-called specialized LLMs and not like a general
Well,
large
yeah,
language
you
model.
have. But you didn't develop the LLMs. You didn't develop the AI system yourself. You got it from somebody else, but you're training it to be more specific to your use case for what you
Correct.
want to use it for. And basically, it sounds like a great thing for especially for small companies which really don't have a business development uh, division, and Bioneex can take the place of it, or in some sense, as an initial startup conversation starter, with and figure out who to talk to and things. So it did the partnering with GATC Health, did that like sort of help accelerate this new development, or what is that? Why have you partnered with them?
The partnership actually came also very timely with our AI advancement in our platform. What basically GATC offers, it's an AI-powered platform which simulates human biology to predict clinical trials. Typically, it would be like a preclinical asset, a small molecule, and their spatial AI. They have like a huge amount of, I believe, over 11,000 AI agents. They mimic human biology, and also it can mimic healthy and like healthy biology, and also the disease. And then it can predict the clinical trials outcome. So based on that, they create a report for that specific program, and then the report helps to de-risk the assets. So what our partnership is about, we have integrated into our platform the type of assets with a their risk profile, which is a tremendous advantage for the investors or for biopharmas when they review the asset and it has that their risk profile with like a huge amount of up to 90% prediction like availability, that gives them an advantage in due diligence process to understand how successful potentially can be the asset in before deciding to put the capital in that specific asset in the clinical trials.
Yeah, that sounds like a huge benefit to any company looking for assets to have some predictability. And like I know AI is used that way in a lot of situations as but so do you go over like the report before you send it back to the company, like the small company, the drug developer that's joined the platform, and you've generated this the AI, your AI system has generated the report. Do your uh, employees do you have someone who reviews the report? They talk about human in the loop. I read a lot about AI, so I know a little bit about what's going on in companies and how they need to have that human in the loop because, AI isn't always predictable itself. It's still, it's a work in progress and it's a tool.
Yes.
So I'm just curious, do you have somebody who like looks over the report before they send it off to the company? Here's what we think, or here's your asset and what we think are your chances?
That's true, and actually, we constantly review it, and we have in the team who is reviewing. I'm also personally reviewing this reports, and also our CTO. And in fact, that helped us to advance our AI infrastructure. I'll give you example. When there was a company in neurology, they submitted their deck. The AI took the information, but it missed like important indication, it missed important target and also mechanism of action. So there were crucial information the AI missed. And then what we figure out, you have to have there multiple AIs running in the background. One is, for example, taking the information, ingesting. Another one is double checking, and then another one would be structuring. So but this is all because we have that human in a loop, so-called
Right.
then human participation to
Right.
understand there is things cannot be fully relied on AI, but it just make the process far more efficient, and you always need to improve and improve and improve.
So if you were like pitching this to, at a, say, at a conference or something, pitching Bioneex, what would you say to a small company or somebody who's developing, a drug developer about using Bioneex, the benefits in conjunction with or versus like all the partnering meetings they sign up for? Because most people at conferences, most companies, they don't really go to the many presentations. They mostly make a list of people they want to have meetings with, and that's what they're doing the whole time in meetings to talk about their company. So, do you have anything that you would pitch to them and say, well, why don't you try this? This might help you find people to start the conversation with instead of sort of, you know, whatever little research they did ahead of the conference. And often big companies don't even want to talk to the little companies, or they get so many requests they have to pick and choose.
Yeah, absolutely, Mari. And actually, in fact, as you said, the other side, basically larger companies already putting their list to whom they want to talk long before in that case, partnering conferences are starting. And the
Right.
question is coming, how they put that list. They do not like go into partnering platforms data. They use already like existing databases, and through the databases, they just filter out and they find the assets and companies they would be interested to talk. Then they would go in that partnering conference platform and then find out are they there so they can schedule the meetings. So here there comes the big problem for smaller companies. Oftentimes, their data is represented incorrectly in many of these public databases or databases. They also not like public. Someone need to pay for that, and that creates a misleading like information, and then it also impacts hugely on a negative way to the small companies business development efforts. So that's why it's on small companies interests to represent their data correctly on some platform, and that's what Bioneex primarily offers them: represent their data uh, up to date, complete. So when the other ones, the larger companies, the potential partners or investors looking an asset, they can find out the most correct information, and it will help them to then be under their radar. That's one of the pieces. And then the second piece, of course, our platform constantly as an AI platform tracks the search behavior of the partners and investors, and it understands what they're looking for. and it kind of brings them in their search those assets they platform believes could be interesting for them. So so-called recommendation engines that works in behind of the
Hmm.
platform. That's another very important piece. The recommendation engines, and then finally, they can be directly connected by the partners and investors even before ahead of the conferences will start.
Okay, that's interesting. And if they say a company has joined Bioneex and several months later they've made some discoveries and they've done some stuff to their compound and they want to submit like a new deck that can get I'm assuming that can your platform will take that new data and update their data so that when someone, the investor or the farmer is looking for the partnership, they'll see they'll get an early look at the new data. Is that correct?
Correct. And that's actually gives a huge advantage to both sides of the platform, to the biotechs, to
Hmm.
the drug development companies, in a way that their data will be notified about their updates will be notified to the right partners and investors. On the other side, the right partners and investors also, as you said, will be the first one, will know about this new program or the asset. So in other words, it is there is a notification system that helps companies to discover, to find out as early as possible about the asset. And again, the problem with general databases, until this information end up in databases, it's already not novel. So it really takes time to end up in a database. That's why it gives a huge advantage to both sides of the platform to use it.
Okay, that's interesting. So, what are some of the things you've learned as a startup founder and head of basically a virtual organization? I know that many of your um, coworkers are based in Armenia, and you're in Germany. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. Some of our team members are based in Armenia, from the marketing side or from the IT development side. And the good thing, what I learned as a startup founder, that you should be able to really use this opportunity to leverage worldwide talents, whereas having a physical office, it is a lot of advantage. Of course, people can interact in person, etc. But you would not be able so easily leverage the global talents in that way. And also, then when you hire people, you understand. You should not count their work by hours. It rather should be counted by their performance and then the outcome. This is what matters. And in our company, everyone works the way they like, from the place they
Right,
like, and
right.
it makes pretty much easy the life in a way that people also like to have some way like this personal stuff, right? So, but then at the end, if someone is not performing well, we had in the past, unfortunately, we had to have this situation to get on a separate way. But for me, as a founder of virtual startup, the primary thing leverage the global talent, and then second to count not by hours but by outcome.
Right. That's the good kind of culture to foster in a company, anyways, because you have to trust that your workers care about it. The people you hire have to care about the company too. So they're going to work to make it successful. So, where do you hope to be in the next 2 or 3 years, and what do you hope to see in the industry?
So, two turning points for our industry, and I guess for a lot of industries. One was the COVID time where we launched our platform, so we took
Right.
advantage from there. The second one is now the AI, and we think we are in really absolutely the right place with our platform, and we can see really at the moment how much our platform can take from in that particular domain which calls search and evaluation a manual work and done it far more efficiently and faster and we think like within the next 2 3 years we will be having most of these like in a meat management in the search and evaluation will be replaced with platforms like us. And we're working on that. That will be us and not anyone else. That's where we
Yeah.
want to be. In 2 3 years, we'll be able to take over, especially for smaller and mid-sized companies in their search and evaluation work and be the right tool that the senior management can use and make a quick decisions based on.
Well, I think you're in a good place because, I mean, you're riding the wave of less siloed businesses where everybody is in one building, more outsourcing of different tasks for small companies, and focusing on one particular area that is, really something that a lot of people need, a lot of companies. And we hope it'll help drug development and more companies be successful because some people have great ideas, but it's not easy to raise money. And I'm sure joining your service is, paying a few extra people a huge salary is way more expensive than joining your service.
So thank you, Mari. I want to add one thing that I understand also what is now on the headlines that we see small companies can make a huge impact. And as a founder of a small company with a small team, I can confirm that we right now living this, that it doesn't matter anymore having a huge team. In fact, it can be like the effect of having too many cooks in the kitchen would be even
Right.
counterproductive. That's what exactly we see. Very small companies with a very small team can have such a huge impact and disruption in specific domains that was not possible in even 2 years ago. And I'm not talking like like 4 or 5 years ago. And that's what I see the next 2 3 or 5 years. Small companies can change, and that's I would encourage anyone who wants to take a step ahead and do something should do it. And yeah, I think this is the time that you have to use.
Thank you, Simbat. I enjoyed speaking with you. Very interesting.
Thank you, Marie. It was great pleasure talking to you, and I hope you will have other very interesting conversations with some of the biotechs and their founders. And I know they are developing always something very exciting.
Right.
Yeah, so
Well, it's
definitely would be
always
great.
interesting. Yeah. All right. All right. Take care.
Take care. Thank you so much. Have a good
Okay.
day.
You
Bye
too.
bye.
Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.
I have a lot of shadows in here, so I want to be bright. You're very bright, and I'm in the shadows.